All right, we're live. Welcome to the Parts Girl live show. I have Ed Roberts, Justin, and Marcus with me. Welcome, you guys.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is a lot of people. I don't know if I can handle this.
You got it.
We bring out the big crowds for this.
Yeah, it's big crowds. So let's just start with just quick intro on. I know a lot of people probably know who you guys are, but quickly just go around the room and introduce you guys.
So let's start here, and then we take it from there. I'm Ed Roberts, COO of Bozard Ford Lincoln down here in sunny St. Augustine, Florida, and also the author of Mile One: An Endless Journey to Effective Leadership.
We have a famous person here.
Justin Pomeroy, lead janitor at Foundation Automotive Corporation. Oversee all the fixed operations for the I want to say we're at 38 dealerships.
Awesome.
Wow.
I'm Marcus Aman, co-founder and CEO of Bayley Smart Lot Smart Shop. We build software, hardware solutions for car dealerships that help them improve efficiency with automation.
Love it. Okay, so what are we talking about today, guys? Fixed ops?
Well, who are you, Bayley?
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're in Q4 now, right? Or has it started yet? Yes, it has started. We're already almost to the end of October. So what are you guys focused on? What are your goals? What are you seeing? Yeah, let's start with Justin.
We've been up anywhere from 15 to 20% year over year, making great gains month over month as well. Last month was a little bit slow compared to our August, but still going in the right direction. Still making really good improvements year over year in gross profit, overall repair order count, and just growing. Trying to really focus on, as always, our retail business.
So growth. We're still seeing that consistent growth. What about you, Ed?
So similar to Justin there, we got double-digit growth, and we've had it all year long. We set priorities at the start of every year, and then we adjust those priorities quarterly because the market changes. There's so many variables that comes into play. So we just made some adjustments for fourth quarter based on the trends that we've seen throughout the first three quarters, because we've outrun anything and everything that we set for 2023. It's been a phenomenal year for us, and we are in the planning stages for 24, and we hope to elevate our level of service tenfold over what we do now next year. So fun times.
Excellent. Ed, Kaylee, if I can jump in for a second.
Yeah.
Ed, I admire what you do and what you've been able to do for Bozard, especially around mobile service. And I would assume that that continues to strengthen day by day. Is that right?
Well, I have another 36 trucks on order through Ford right now for mobile, and I'm just a single point store. So, well, two rooftops, I guess. Yes, it's a huge opportunity for us. It is how we feel like that we are going to make our shops even more productive next year. We look at different things for efficiency. We all look at for those things. And we look at this. In today's time, we bring a customer in, and we diagnose their vehicle, order parts, sits there for that time frame, and then we repair the vehicle and give it back to them. It ends up being 4, 5, 6 days of loaner or whatever else, or downtime for the customer. And I want to shift that to, as soon as you have a need, I come to you and diagnose it with our mobile unit, and then order parts and be prepared for you when you show up. So I can offer same day repair. If I can't do it mobile, I can do it same day that you do come in.
I love that. Have you noticed any trends with mobile repair around the types of services that customers need outside of normal routine maintenance, like oil changes and rotations? And are you expanding the type? It sounds like you are, based on what you just said, expanding your offering to your customers.
So we can do oil changes and rotates, and we do that a lot for fleets, but we don't do that as much for customers. It's just not a pretty view for us to do that in their driveway. So we'll do more of that with pickup and delivery. But we try to ask ourselves, why can't we do it, instead of when we decide that we can't. So when we shift to that, there's so much that we can do in field, and And I want to have as many vehicles rolling around as we have bays at our dealership. And if we do that, we can make our dealership more efficient. We can make it, but it's more than anything, it enhances the ownership experience for our customers. And that's what Fixed Ops is all about.
Absolutely.
I
Justin,
think-
do you guys- oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Kaylee. I see some dealerships kind of like on the ledge of whether or not to offer mobile service or not. They will do pickup and delivery, but I see some of them on the edge. A lot of import stores, for example, may not go out to a dealer's house. I mean, a customer's house. So for anyone listening that's interested in offering mobile repair services to their customer base, what is your typical gross margin on that business versus when consumers bring it in for service? And what should a dealer do to start off if they're trying to start mobile repair?
So disclaimer number one, we are in Florida, and I think most of Justin's stores are in Texas. So we're blessed to be south to where we're not as controlled by weather. So we can do this stuff mostly year round. And if we shift again to why can't we do it? And we try to dissect what the true cost of running a mobile truck is. If we create a break even, then that becomes what we chase. And the break even for these vehicles are not that much. I can turn 3.6 hours in a van and it breaks even. So anything outside of that, I outrun. But going back to the gross that you're talking about, we all know that seeing sales. So if you use pictures, that works. If you use video, that increases that even more. But what outruns both of those is showing live. And so when you pull something out of a customer's vehicle in front of them and show them that it needs it, there's no question of whether it's going to get it. And there's no question whether it come out of their vehicle or not. So it's almost not even selling in field. It's just show and tell. And when you do those things, it drives, it pays for itself, but you have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, and it almost feels like, it's like that convenience factor that you just offered the consumer to. You're there on site doing it, and they almost kind of, I would think maybe they have a little bit of guilt, like since they're here, I might as well do it now that they're showing it to me as well,
That's true.
Well, think about that if an AC repairman comes out to your house to service your AC, you know what the importance of that is. And if they tell you need something, you're not going to tell them no.
Right, exactly.
Yep. That's exactly what this ends up being. So if you can build the case, and building the case is showing them, then they're not going to tell you no.
What advice? I'm sorry, Bayley, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just trying to find out if Justin does mobile service.
No, I mean, I'm just going to, Ford does a phenomenal job, right, Ed? And I'm not, what's your other point? Are they both Ford points?
Lincoln.
Both, yeah.
So
Ford, Lincoln, Mercury has done a phenomenal job of supporting mobile service. And like I told a lot of these guys, I mean, if you have a 300-day-old unit sitting on your lot, you're writing it down anyway. So why don't you just put it into service, put one of these guys in it, and go out and do reflashes and reprograms? You don't have to offer the full soup to nut deal, but if you can find a target-rich environment like an enterprise lot or a used car lot that just so happens to have a bunch of those vehicles, I mean, that's you're in the green. Now Ford, Lincoln, Mercury reimburses you for this, and they've done, like I said, a really good job getting behind it and the initiative of mobile service. But people will pay for convenience. They will pay more, and just like an AC guy does, he's going to charge you for a call. He's going to hit you for $100-something just to get him there, and then in order to fix it, it'll be an additional expense, right? And we're not necessarily doing that, but I mean, everybody else is doing it. Don't cut yourself short, should I say? But 100%, if you can break even, you can provide convenience to the customer, and for me, like Ed said, if you get out here and start triaging these vehicles, maybe they're not immobile. Maybe I can keep that customer in that vehicle for another 3 to 5 days while I'm getting something for them, whether it be a canister purge valve or something that's not debilitating, right? Now you have your vehicle. You're not without your personal, transportation. I don't have to facilitate you a loaner per se. That in itself is a cost benefit analysis, or just cost benefit exercise.
Yeah.
It looks like we had a question come in from Robert Villanueva. Ed, what? There it is on the screen.
Hey, Rob.
So we run 2 people in our vehicles, and on our diagnostic vehicles, it's a, let's call it an aging technician that is wanting to slow down but not ready to get out of the industry. And I'm using their brain power, and our guys already have confidence in them. In the diag vehicles, we only run 1 person, but in the rest of them, we run 2 people. And the one is a very entry level, and then one has some skills in it, so it almost becomes an apprenticeship as well. But finding the right people, and one of the things that we're talking about is expanding mobile. Finding the right people is key, and if you have a lot of turnover, that's one thing you got to work on first, because the last thing you want to do is keep sending a different person to somebody's house or retraining them to do those elements of what you want to do with mobile. They got to buy into the vision.
They do. We've gotten quite a few comments come in. But what were you going to say, Justin?
You got to have a good personality. They have to be able to be customer facing and care, right? You can't just say, well, I'm just here to do it, and if you don't like it, kind of, so be it. But you have to have somebody who's outgoing, a bit bubbly, and we all know that finding that in a tech pool isn't exactly an easy task. No offense to any of them, but they're not a lot of them out there. A lot of them just want to be put under the hood of a car and be left alone, and that's just fine. But yeah, that's the tough part of it.
Yeah, I would imagine with the mobile service. And do you guys feel like that it's trainable? Like that's something, I know obviously some people naturally are a little bit more, customer servant people, but do you feel like it's trainable or able to help train people on that stuff?
It is trainable. It is trainable, and it's trainable from a couple different angles. Obviously, we're sending a second technician out to learn from the other. But as Justin said, it's got to be a good communicator. And one of the struggles, so maybe someone that's aspiring to be an advisor or something, one of the struggles that advisors have is asking customers for the business when they start out. And so this kind of helps with that a bit, because in mobile, asking for the business, like we said a few minutes ago, it's just showing. And so it builds their confidence as well and makes them better, prepares them for the next step if they're trained, if they're wanting to become a service advisor.
And Ed, on your guys, I know with some of your older, more seasoned technicians, you probably have to just pay them a salary or something of that sort, not to get too far into money. But for these younger guys, I think they have the opportunity to back themselves into a pretty advantageous reimbursement for their time spent if we start selling them on commodities and giving them these little flaps for, hey, you sent an hour of diagnosis back to the dealership, I'm going to get you on that. You sold a air filter, I got you on that. These wiper blades, I'm going to pay you $2 for every one you sell. Just to kind of get those things front of mind when they are there, to look for the additional service recommendations that we can help service these customers with while we're already on site. And I think that's huge, that a lot of people are trying to figure out, how do I pay these people? You got to compensate them a little bit for the drive there and the drive back, because that is time spent. But how do I initiate or incentivize them to go get the wearable commodities? And I think that's huge.
Yeah, Justin's spot on there. It is more salary based, and then plus based on what they do. And that becomes the element of what is our cost factor to run this thing. If we expect these guys to be 100% productive driving up and down the street, they're not going to be. So let's back into that and create a salary that's fair for both sides, that they can outrun for us, and then give them opportunity to chase. And if you do those things, they'll take care of it. They'll take care of us, and they'll take care of the customer, and that's most important.
And I imagine, Ed, that your retention rate and your service retention rate has increased since you started offering mobile service. Can you speak to that any?
Yes, we're certainly blessed on that standpoint. The national average across all brands is 30% of customers continue to do business after their warranty period, and for us, that number is almost 80%. We're 78% right now. And so is that only mobile? No, it's not just mobile, but that's a key part of it. All those elements tie together: the mobile, the pickup and delivery, the experience that they get when they do come to the store. But yes, that is, as we make an EV shift, that makes that much more important, because we're not going to see those vehicles twice a year. We're going to be lucky to see them once a year.
Yeah, and that's one of the trends moving into 24, 25, 20, up to 2030, the purchase of EVs and what impact that may have on the business, especially service business. And if you've already built a fleet of 30, well, you said you just ordered 36 more trucks, that'll give you a total of how many?
46.
46 total truck. You're going to be the market leader for sure on EVs just in the area. So that's huge.
Ed, of those 36, how many are transits? How many are escape?
6 of them are escape. 30 of them are transits. So
Wow.
the mix that I have right now, 6 are full-size transits and 4 of them are transit connects. So the 4 and the 6, 10 of the smaller ones.
Marcus, when you start taking your list of missed appointments and you start looking at that, like, hey, why didn't you make it to your appointment? Can we come to you? And you start trying to recapture that business, and because they're going to defect. If they're like, I didn't make that appointment, I'm going to go to Take 5 for this one, and then maybe they wow me. Maybe they do a little bit better than the last time, which I have a hard time believing they do a better job than Ed Roberts. But it's that kind of stuff that you say, look, we not only do we notice you didn't show, we want to know why, and we want to make sure that we accommodate you if it's possible, and that speaks super loud.
Yeah, and it's like you're going to have 46 trucks in the area. It's almost like having 46 other dealerships they can service it at. Except it's yours. It's your name, and you're meeting the customer where they're at. I think it's huge. I think it's great.
That's the convenience element of it.
The name is going to be everywhere because they're driving all over town. I'm starting to think about the operational side of things, like the management of all these vehicles and the scheduling, and like how does that all? Do you have your own mobile team managing, or is it all combined? Like, how does that all work?
Well, we're running the 10 now, and the foot's on the gas to build the team for those 36 because 20 of them will be here by year end. And I can explain what the vision is right now, but it may be totally different when I start rolling those things out. So that is very fluid and will continue to change, but that's who we are. We got to be agile. We got to be able to shift on the fly and make adjustments as needed. I want to be able to tie it to where there's software like Uber, where you can see when we're coming to you, see how far out they are, see when we arrived. We already do a lot of things, not ring doorbells and that kind of stuff in case you got other stuff going on. But there's tons of things that can continue to enhance what we do there.
Yeah.
Ed, do you depend pretty heavily on like the car product to fill your schedule, or do you have a BDC that's currently assisting in that?
So I have a mobile dispatch team, and I also use our BDC, or we call it call center, to fill mobile. They have a schedule that they can fill, and then our mobile dispatch team can build around that schedule based on where they're traveling to.
Very cool.
Yeah, because I would imagine there's a lot of tracking of like locations and like scheduling people in similar locations so it's more efficient. There's probably a lot. Is there tools out there to help you, like, does Ford provide something?
There's not tools that I feel like we need out there. There is things where there's some inefficiency in the way we do things. We're very manual on that. Because I feel like there's better opportunity there. But I'm working with a couple of companies to design some stuff. That's why I said it'd be very fluid. But it's not the norm. And if it's not the norm, then there's not a market for somebody to create these things. Mm-hmm. And so we got to go out and create that market a bit.
Yeah. That's why we have these conversations.
Ed, back when I was with Hendrick Automotive Group, I built a pickup and delivery application for car repair that would allow a consumer to book what they needed, and it would send it to us at the dealership, and we would go out and facilitate it. It wasn't mobile service, but it was pickup and delivery system for that. And the way I thought about it was, once they start scheduling and booking, we will then ask you, would you like to upgrade to a detail, or would you like to have your windshield wipers replaced? And these questions that it would always ask no matter what. And, so I have some familiarity with that. And then also it kind of tracks it through the journey. We've kind of shelved that, but we were doing something similar to that back in 2018 up until COVID, before we kind of pivoted our business.
So there's opportunity there, because what I would like to see, and someone that builds this stuff would probably steer me in a different direction, but I want our customer to have an element of it so they can see. I also want elements of it that when we show up there within that same program, we take pictures of the vehicle before and after. And that way we're storing everything just like a DMS. We have the whole visit on file. And that's what I envision now, actually putting those things into play. I don't know what it turns into, but we got to have something to start with to create something.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a customer intake system similar to the DMS, except it's just for service, storing the pictures and videos and all of that, and there's things out there like, you've got X Time and My Karma and some of these other Update Promise, that do great at what they do. As far as mobile service, I haven't seen a great solution with that quite yet.
And Ed, I mean, you being the COO now, it's in anybody that's a dealer that's on this call. I mean, you've got somebody there taking pictures and everything else. How hard is it to take this and load this into provision, and now you've got to buy it now for your customer, right? If this is a good vehicle, that they're in a good market standpoint where they have some equity built up and they can exercise that equity, and you can put them in a new unit. So it really gets dangerous. There's a lot of different stuff. I know during COVID there was a time where we were slow in service, and I said, well, what if I ran out and did some, offered to do mobile appraisals? And people bid. I remember getting 4 or 5 calls a day that I go out and, within a 20-mile radius and take pictures of cars and stuff and try to do some deals, because the dealerships were shut down. Nobody could come on the showroom floor. So I said, let's put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of opportunity and we have to find different ways for acquisition. Like you're talking about with used cars, and because everybody will buy a car right now. We got to find ways to make it easier to buy a car from, or sell your car to us.
Do you feel like, I feel like our mind started going with COVID because we kind of had to think outside of the box, and now we're kind of back to not normal, because we obviously have changed since then, but I feel like we're not thinking as far out of the box anymore as much. We're like trying to just survive and keep up because we're all so busy. Do you guys feel that, or I don't know if it's just me?
No, for sure. I mean, it's if I could just not have to get my vehicle or have to drop my vehicle off, even when I'm in the store. Like, I don't want to have to. At any given second, I could have to go, right? So like, for me, if someone were to be willing to come to my office or come to wherever it is and service my vehicle, I would still, even in the field that I'm in, probably pay for that service.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do it with groceries now, right? It's such a normal thing to get your groceries delivered, which was so weird. I don't know. I get my groceries delivered.
COVID.
I never go in.
No.
You guys don't
COVID allowed us all, not just in automotive, allowed us all to think outside the box. And the technology and all those elements was already there. We just started using the stuff that was available to us. So it exposed different things to us. Do you know what? We're not exploring as much now since things have settled a bit. So yes, we got to make sure we keep that in front of us so that we can continue to explore and maximize the opportunities that somebody else may not be capitalizing on.
It's funny too to me how many people just automatically dropped all of the things that they were doing going outside of the box during COVID and have just returned to old business rather than looking to continue and maintain that, that venture and be accommodating to the customer and do more than what's necessary because.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not the only one seeing it.
No, we've forgotten.
James, I think you got that new shop.
Yeah.
We have a short memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus, go ahead. You had a question?
I was going to say, I admire both of you guys because I used to be a operations.
That's a long way.
I understand the business and what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis. But I was going to ask, this is really either one of you, as far as trends and fixed the rest of 23 and moving into 24, what effect is the UAW strike having on the domestic brands, and how is it affecting them in the future, do you think?
I mean, we're relying heavily on dealer-to-dealer transactions. Our fill rates are 75 to 76%. ahead of a lot of things whenever we learned that it was going to happen. And luck falls into the hands of those who kind of prepare. So that's been the biggest deal is Stellantis was really kind enough to forgive, stocking orders and give everything guarantees on return. So that's been huge. But outside of that, I've just been going and exercising any type of obsolescence. I've kind of created an internal marketplace throughout all of our dealerships where each store can buy from one another, whether it's a used car acquisition part or, a dealer to dealer just transaction. But just, looking at how we can move that obsolescence or stuff that's going to be, I mean, if it goes 10, it's going to go 12. And if it goes 12, it's going to go 16 for those that are out there with a GM store. And just really looking at how I can, exercise that exit strategy before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So same here. We ramped up parts inventory hugely, not knowing how far and how deep it's going to go. And we still don't know, quite frankly. Maximizing vehicle inventory leading up to it because we knew this negotiation period was coming. We didn't know how significant it would be, so we rolled the dice on that with floor plan and whatever. But some of it, I'm not going to say that this strike is good, but some of the elements that will come from it will help us. During COVID, the used car market just went crazy, and it has been leveling. I won't even call it leveling off. I started to call it leveling off. It has been right sizing itself like crazy over the last 8 months. And the dry up or the shrinking of inventory on dealers' lots that becomes the byproduct of the strike will help level off the used car market a bit and maybe slow it down from that decline that it was falling, because this has been a tough year to be right with your used car inventory, because you can buy it today with the right money, and a week from now it's dropped $2,500, and that's just the market that we've been in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing any vehicles that are stuck at your dealerships or body shops because they're waiting on parts yet, or has that not hit yet?
There's a couple manufacturers that have stop sales on units. I know there's a Jeep stop sale on the 2 doors right now that they're giving us like $10 a day floor plan relief, which is, I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing to call home about. But to answer, I saw Phil Spagnoli's question. No, we just went through a buy sale on a GM store last week out in Freestone. We sold to the Ed Morse group. They're a phenomenal group. But they will not allow us to exercise our return or execution as of yet. And GM has not allowed any returns for time being.
How are you handling service customers that need repair, but you can't find parts, and it's like a critical part for their car? Are you? I know we shouldn't talk about them, but do you offer aftermarket options? I know the OEM parts, and you want to sell OEM parts because you have a duty to buy them. But if you can't get them, if we've got to get somebody's car back to them critically, they need it. You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, they've not given us any CSI pardons yet. So until that happens, I'm going to get the customer taken care of in whatever manner I can as quickly as I can.
And we want to use factory parts, and we do most of the time. But in the occasion that we need to go outside of that, let's face reality. Any other place outside the dealer that we go to, they're getting those parts, and the car works fine with them. And a lot of times it's the same vendor that makes them for the manufacturers that makes them for the aftermarket. So, yes, there's some subpar stuff out there, but you can put your hands on parts. You just can't be locked down on, I got to wait for this from the manufacturer. We got to keep the customer moving, because if we don't, somebody.
Yeah, and I think as long as the customer understands, what they're getting, and you're not.
Got to be transparent. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaylee, that's 100%. I mean, if you're upfront and honest, everyone sees it in the news. It's not a secret that the UAW is striking, and whenever you tell them, look, I'm at the mercy of a lot of different things, right? Bear with me. I promise you, as soon as I can, I will, and I'll keep you updated every step along the way. Some people are understanding, and you've got the onesies, twosies that just don't care. But for the most part, everybody is completely reasonable.
Yeah, that's a good point, Justin. That's probably a great training point for service managers that may be watching this, to get with their service advisors and just say, hey, look, when a customer comes in, if they're having an issue because you can't find an OEM part, to just say, hey, you've probably seen it in the news. We're dealing with that. And I
Help
think
yourself out. Yeah, give yourself a safety net, right, or a flotation device, because it's otherwise they're just going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Communication's key.
It is. There was a lot of comments that came through that Wayne Mary was agreeing with you a lot, Justin. I don't know if you know who that is.
No. Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne.
Nice.
Thanks.
Very cool.
There you go.
I was a little slow on that one. I think it's a little delayed too when people comment. We're already moved on. That's what sucks about live sometimes.
Justin, you may be able to answer Philip's question about
Yes.
Geo.
No, I had responded to that. I saw
And
it
it
come
did.
up, and that's what I was saying. They didn't allow us to do our buy, sell, execution return, and I haven't gotten a response as to when that'll be tolerated or allowed for. But yeah, that right now they've kind of got a don't send it because we don't want that kind of thing going on. So
Yeah.
Got it.
But they're being flexible, right? With like being able to return things.
if you don't abuse it, they're tolerating the emergency order on things that are having to be kind of expedited. If you do abuse it, it just backs up things further for everybody else. So I mean, if you guys are out there, if you do everything emergency Paco or whatever that your manufacturer is, you're hurting yourself and everybody else. So just use it on the as needed basis, please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, what is one of the trends that you see that is going to be, super important moving forward at the end of this year and well into 2024?
It's working on service retention and continuing that. Like the manufacturers are changing their, like Hyundai, for instance. We have quite a few Hyundai stores. Love them. They're great. They're requiring us to have 2 visits in the first year. Well, their oil changes every 10,000 miles. So the only thing that I can get them back in for is in order for me to click the button on a service retention, I have to have a part build out of $5. Well, I don't have much to sell you at 5,000 or even 10,000. Getting that kind of stuff, and it's going to continue to be very fluid with that and how to check that box and continue to be in the right vision of the manufacturer. It's going to be dynamic coming up with the changes that are being made.
Yeah. Someone said you smile. You must not smile a lot, Justin.
I do smile, just lying. he calls me a teddy bear. He's
It's funny. Ed, can you answer that same question? Just trends, what are you seeing for this?
So going forward, I think our opportunity, we're all now getting a certain level of vehicle data. And when a customer calls in, they have a need and they have a need now. Well, if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. And now with us being able to obtain the vehicle data, we got to create processes for us to determine what a customer's needs are before they're calling us, and being proactive with setting that stuff up. So that's an opportunity going forward in the fourth quarter, first quarter next year, of us to plan our business better. And as we plan our business better, then everything's not an emergency because we can plan it around the times that we need to.
just like the last day of the month, right? Just another day.
Exactly. Speed bump instead of a hurdle.
Hey, I want to ask a question. Y'all are very tied into your, y'all seem like servant leaders, at your dealership. How do you handle internal communication there at the dealership? When cars are, like when a car goes into the shop, or when a tech's got a question to the parts guy, or the parts guy needs to talk to the advisor. How do y'all handle that today?
I'll let you go first, Justin.
I've got, every one of my employees that I work alongside of we've got a hub within Foundation Automotive Corporation where I have technician chat boards where they can speak to one another on whether there's a manufacturer glitch or if they're seeing a DTC code that they can't quite run down or a short circuit. I've got a few different apps as well within stores where we just communicate one-on-one. or even I have one where I just have like fixed operations in another app, and anybody that's in that app can communicate store to store. I try to give them every opportunity to over communicate, because at the end of the day, we, as many stores as we have, I literally said this today. It wasn't how on an island everyone makes themselves. Like, you're in a community with a vast amount of knowledge, and you have to exercise that. If you don't ask questions or reach out for help, like, you can only be mad at yourself.
We lost that last sentence, but it's okay.
The communication's key, like Justin said. We have to communicate. And what Marcus, you talked about some other platforms out there that you can do different things with Update Promise and some of the other stuff out there. And we use Single Thread at our store. It's a communication tool for our customers. It's a communication tool in-house as well for our advisors to communicate with technicians, and technicians communicate with parts, and parts communicate with advisors. And then all of us have access to it, so we can see what's going on and the communication that's went back and forth. And it does store the history of it as well. But that's what ties it all together. But it's communicating and sharing the vision of what you're trying to do with everybody, and that's having regularly scheduled meetings and not canceling a regularly scheduled meeting because it's not convenient for you. It's keeping everybody on the same page by informing them of what we're trying to do.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, and I think, we've got, it's been about 30 minutes or so, and I like to keep it about 30, but with all of you guys on here, it's been a great conversation, and I feel like we covered a lot of trends and things that we're focused on. And what I've gathered is just, looking ahead, continuing to think outside the box, because I think we're, in that mode of survival right now, because we're all so busy and trying to, which direction do we go? But retention and planning ahead. Did I already say planning ahead? But that's what I've gathered.
Yes. Plan for tomorrow.
Plan for tomorrow. So Ed, is there anything that you want to say to wrap up?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and for all the dealers out there that's saying, hey, mobile doesn't work for me or whatever. Maybe it doesn't. But find a way to make yourself stand out from the crowd. We can all be car dealers. We can all be service centers, but find something that creates identity for your store. And then that's what you can sell to your customers. So don't be afraid to step outside the box, and don't be afraid to do something that works well. You just have to put the effort into it to make it go widespread. And if you do those things, you'll stand out and you'll have some identity as well.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And I love that too. Justin, is there anything you want to add? I know you're walking.
No, I had to get out of that room. I'm sorry, I was losing connection with you guys. I would just echo that. I mean, be a little bit better than the guy down the street. Do a little bit more to give that wow factor. It's not very hard to be better than your competition. I'll be completely honest.
We're losing him a bit, but what he was saying is do something to wow your customer.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll stand out.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on the show, and I hope a lot of people got out of it. Got a lot out of it. So, Marcus, is there anything you want to say to wrap up?
Yeah, no, I appreciate both of you taking the time to join. I know y'all live busy lives. Ed, I plan on getting down there to see you, and you too, Justin, someday. I'll head that way and see y'all at y'all's dealerships.
Anytime.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.